every single topic that we're about to talk about this hour, I think that we might be witnessing a Rishi Sunak revival. Rishi is rallying. Look, first, he came out swinging against lefty immigration lawyers who are cheating the system, inventing fake backstories for economic migrants and taking wads of cash in order to game the asylum system. He said Labour's on their side and on the side of criminal gangs. Good for him. I think it's time for him to get a bit punchy and to call certain things out. That is the kind of thing that will resonate with voters. Labour is voting against anything that would help us control our borders pretty much. They're not proposing a proper solution. In the meantime, rogue lawyers are taking cash in hand to create a tissue of lies to let migrants sneak in. And now it looks like instead of continually buying more luxury barges or using four-star hotels, we will be housing channel migrants in marquees and tents. Good. That is a deterrent. It has to be more cost-effective as well. Now, he's massively put Labour on the back foot over Just Stop Oil, hasn't he? Labour are funded, essentially, by Just Stop Oil. They're taking money off that group that breaks the law and are regarded by many as borderline environmental terrorists. Labour has committed to stopping the old oil and gas, hasn't it? The GMB union is now at war with Labour over potential job losses. Well, what does Sunak do? He promises more new oil and gas. It protects jobs, it protects energy security, but also importantly, it tells people that he's actually on their side when it comes to not wanting net zero at all costs. It sends a message that he's not willing to blindly bankrupt this country to keep Greta Thunberg happy. And now he's also coming out against low traffic neighbourhoods, saying that he's on the side of motorists. He's at least going to have a review into them. This is another good signal. I've got a little sneaky suspicion, just a little sneaky suspicion, that he might ditch the 2030 no new petrol or diesel car pledge before the next general election and really drive that home, if you'll excuse the rubbish pun there. But today, the news broke that teachers have taken a 6.5% pay rise. They will stop striking. He's seen off a few other strikes as well. He's got it absolutely right on Nigel Farage's banking issue, going into bat for him, calling out his actual former colleagues in a way in the banking sector. Keir Starmer, on the other hand, got it completely wrong. He just couldn't bring himself to back Farage, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he'd have come out all guns blazing for Gina Miller, wouldn't he? But Rishi Sunak is now drawing some serious lines in the sand. On immigration, he's coming on stronger. Labour, I mean, look, we all know that they'll do nothing to protect our borders, don't we? On net zero, Labour would plough on at all costs, and that will mean financial ruin for people. Sunak is exposing that. On motorists, Rishi is apparently on their side. Well, where's Keir Starmer? Look, it's got a long way to go. But I think he's having a good little spell here, Rishi, and if he keeps this up and plays his cards right at the next election, people will have to ask themselves this: where is Keir Starmer on the issues that I actually care about? And I think that could be a big problem for the Labour leader. Yeah, that's what I think. We're going to talk about a lot of those issues this hour, actually. gbviews@gbnews.com. Get the emails coming in. But I'm joined now by sustainability campaigner Adrian Hayes. Adrian, look, thank you very much. We're going in right now on whether or not essentially new oil and gas is actually a good thing. Do you think it is?
I do, Patrick, and good afternoon to you and to your viewers and listeners. The reason is because I'm part of a growing band of environmental campaigners, environmentalists, sustainability campaigners, who are sceptical about the whole net zero agenda and what I would call the quasi-religion. Why? Because I believe it's a cop-out. It's enabling governments and globalist institutions to say they're doing so much for the environment while they're ignoring all the things that really do contribute to a damaged environment: air pollution, chemical pollution, biodiversity loss, deforestation, all these things. And if you have one little term you can say about what's the link between CO2 demonizing this, it's follow the money. There is money being made for renewables. There's no money being made from treating the sewage in our rivers and lakes.
That's a really good point. There is, if you can't make money out of coming up with some kind of renewable technology at the moment, then you'd have to be an absolute idiot. Do you think that that's part and parcel of the situation, that people have been forced into a net zero agenda actually based more around the fact that a load of people can make money off renewables than any kind of sound climate-based sense?
Yeah, look, I do not believe that carbon dioxide, 0.04% of the atmosphere, of which man makes about 4% of, I don't think it's the enemy that we need to be looking at for the environment. But put that aside, Patrick, even if you do believe that climate change is the greatest threat to our planet right now, politicians, and Rishi Sunak in particular, are coming to the incredible conclusion that there's no, it's a universal truth, there is no single solution to any problem we face in anywhere in life. It's all a matter of trade-offs. And to be fair, normally, economy comes ahead of society and environment. But in this case, the net zero agenda is putting, I would say it's not even putting the environment, it's putting one small factor to at undue cost to our economy and our society. It's all a matter of trade-offs, and I think he's suddenly realised that there's a trade-off which is just not worth the price we're paying.
Let me just read to you now a tweet, actually, from a Conservative MP. He's not happy with this. It's former Energy Minister Chris Skidmore, who wrote on Twitter, "This is the wrong decision at precisely the wrong time. When the rest of the world is experiencing record heat waves, it is on the wrong side of a future economy that will be founded on renewable and clean industries and not fossil fuels. It is on the wrong side of modern voters who will vote with their feet at the next general election for parties that protect and not threaten our environment." By the way, I think he's wrong about that, but anyway. "And it is on the wrong side of history that will not look favourably on this decision." I'm just going to get you to respond to that.
He's talking a little bit of hot air, I think. Firstly, I don't think voters do want climate change if it's going to cost them in their pockets, but they do want to protect the environment, which was my point earlier. But this point, what is the point, and it's been said so many times on GB News and other channels, that what is the point of Britain, 2% of carbon emissions, even if you believe carbon's the demon that is, of us so-called leading the world if we're going to put ourselves into poverty? What is the point of us importing gas and oil from other countries just so we can satisfy our climate change objectives? What is the point of us importing wood from Canada for our Drax plant up in the north of England? It's all hype and virtue signalling, so we are so good at this, and it's making not a little bit of difference to our environment or the global environment.
Look, I was sick of it. I'm sick of the big green briefcase. I'm sick of the photo opportunities. I'm sick of all of this rubbish, okay, that actually is making people skinter. That is not to say that I don't believe we should be doing more to protect our environment, but I can spot a gimmick a mile off, and I think the vast majority of the British public can spot a gimmick an absolute mile off. And when it's really hitting them in the pockets, they don't go, "Oh, we're world leading in doing this." Right, well, are we actually? Or have we just stuck a sticking plaster over it and we're giving the Saudis billions and billions of pounds, we're importing it from them? Are we making Russia a bolder, bigger player on the world stage by giving them more leverage when it comes to whether or not they can turn our taps off, for example? Just ask the Germans how that feels. I am sick and tired of these gimmicks that are having real world consequences, and I think that Rishi Sunak here might have played a masterstroke just by doing what the Labour Party, who are taking money off Just Stop Oil, cannot do, which is say, we are going to try to find a middle ground here. We care about the planet, we don't want it to just incinerate itself. But at the same time, we are going to crack on with what we have under our feet in the North Sea.
Absolutely, and look, I'm for net zero eventually, but a sensible time frame where the trade-offs are not going to damage our society and our economy. And you know, look, there's a trade-off even in renewables. There's a trade-off of wind turbines. Where do these things go after 15 years? Waste disposal. Where's the trade-off with EVs? Young children mining lithium and cobalt manganese in the Congo, the DRC. There's a trade-off to everything. So it's got to be a sensible time frame to get renewables. But I would be saying to Rishi Sunak and Grant Shapps, put your money in nuclear energy, particularly Rolls-Royce SMR. The SMRs are ready to go. We need to be pushing money if we're going to be putting subsidies into anything, not wind turbines and solar, which, as we proved, are not the answer to all our solutions.
Look, just talk to me briefly about that, because a little bit later on in the hour, Rishi Sunak has also come out and gone on about low-traffic neighbourhoods, etc., saying he's on the side of motorists. I'm going to be talking about how can you be on the side of motorists if you're also going to get rid of new petrol and diesel cars by 2030. So we'll have that chat then. But you mentioned there about the actual sustainability of things like these wind farms, of things that you also mentioned like solar panels, etc., or electric vehicles. How green are these things?
They're not.
Right.
And this is the great ignorance, the great cover-up. that we're somehow being so green by getting EVs, by electric vehicles by 2030. There's huge costs involved. We don't have the power grid to support these vehicles. We don't have anything in place. So in maybe 40, 50 years, it may be a different thing. But this is what I said right at the beginning, Patrick. The whole net zero agenda of going on carbon dioxide only is covering up all the real environmental issues that I and increasingly others are campaigning about. And this is what we need to look at, a whole big picture, the sustainability trilogy, the three pillars of society, economy, and environment. It's that sweet spot in the middle where you've got sustainable policies for all factors.
You know what? I think this could actually seriously be a bit of a watershed moment, actually, because I think now he's looking at this and he's thinking, well, Labour have backed themselves into a corner with Just Stop Oil. There's the economic side of it. People are now suffering so badly economically. We've seen what's happened in Russia as well, and the power that they've had over there when it comes to their natural resources. And you can draw a line in the sand here now, and that is what I think we're witnessing. That if you care about not essentially hurtling headfirst and bankrupting yourself and sacrificing yourself at the altar of net zero, realistically, I would argue there is a good case to say you would have to vote Conservative at the next election and not vote Labour because, well, what are Labour really going to do about it? I could talk to you all day, apart from the fact that, well, I can't, unfortunately, but great to chat anyway. Thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. Right, look, loads more coming your way.